fire for Roy today?
I have not.
Kim's on today.
So Roy is coming?
Yeah, well, he said he was.
Okay, all right, we'll give him another minute or two.
Oh, okay. You just turn.
All right, I'd like to call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Spalding County Board of Elections and Registration. It's our October 8th meeting. If everyone would, please silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices. And if you would stand, the invocation is going to be done by Roy McLean and the pledge by Dexter Wimbish.
I have the invocation.
You got it.
Please join me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many opportunities for us to serve in our community. Thank you for giving us the ability to see beyond sometimes the things that get in our way, the pebbles in our path, as it were. And dear Lord, we ask you to shine your light upon our path, that we may see our path more clearly. For I ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next up, citizen comment. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and the topic they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct your remarks to the board and not to individual board members or to the audience. Personal disagreements with individual board members or employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has a right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the board's business in an efficient and respectable manner. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the Board of Elections and Registration. No questions will be asked by any of the board members during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are always expected during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak for more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. We've got Jim Moore, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
I didn't write my address down on the sheet. Do I need to provide that to you or to someone before I begin?
We don't require it.
Oh, I thought I heard you say that. Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much for the 3 minutes. As an eligible and registered absentee voter in Spalding County, Georgia, I have the following questions and concerns regarding the Spalding County, how Spalding County, rather, will apply the new rules implemented by the Georgia State Election Board. First one is, does Spalding County Election Board intend to require hand counting of all the ballots? If yes, does the hand counting rule apply to all absentee, overseas, and military ballots? What is the cost of hand counting all of these ballots? Who will be paying for it? How many people are required in order to hand count all of the ballots when they are available, or excuse me, and are they available? Will they be bipartisan, people counting, doing the counting? What happens if the counting of the certifications are not complete by the deadline? Please define how the reasonable inquiry rule will be implemented. What do you define reasonable to be? How are you going to guarantee that all of the votes are counted? Finally, are these rules legal under Georgia state law? Thank you very much for listening to my questions and comments.
Thank you, Jim. That closes our citizen comments. Next up is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda, if I might.
Okey dokey. I'm searching for a pen. All right, sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to amend the agenda to discuss movement of funds from the insurance fund that we control to pay allowances. And I'll make a little better report to that whenever we get to that point.
Okay, so you're
This is a motion that was already discussed and approved by the board many months ago.
right, but the item you want to add to the agenda
To direct the supervisor to move those funds.
Okay, so I think
Under old business?
Uh,
Under old business?
It should be, sure.
okay. All right. Okay, just,
I move we accept the agenda as amended.
okay,
Second.
second, okay. All in favor? All right, we have adopted the agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add one, a status report on hand counting.
Okey dokey. We actually just voted to adopt the agenda just now, but I suppose we could have voted for just adopt Roy's item out of fairness, so.
That was my
Okay,
understanding of it.
fair enough, all right, so, and would you restate that one more time, Jim?
A status report on hand counting. The reason I bring that up is that there's some talk that we're doing it, we're not doing it.
Seems to be some confusion around that, yes, sir.
Just ask it, everybody talking to your microphone. I'm kind of way over here in the middle of nowhere,
Sorry.
hard of hearing to start with, so.
Yeah, very good, okay, so we had a motion to further amend the agenda to include a status report on hand counting.
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor? All right, that carries. Now suppose we need either additional amendments or a vote to actually adopt the agenda as amended.
I move we adopt the agenda as amended.
Very good, Roy, Jim, O'Brien, all in favor? The agenda is actually adopted now, so, very good. Okay, we don't have minutes on the agenda, so. Do we?
The minutes are on the agenda.
Oh, well, okay, yeah,
New business
okay,
B.
my bad, okay.
Yeah.
Aren't they usually after the adoption of the?
And they were emailed to you all. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, so normally that's after adoption of the agenda. All right. Okay, first up is old business, which would be Roy's, item to direct the supervisor to move insurance monies. So Roy, you want to speak to that? Yeah, quickly.
Mr. Chair, a while back in executive session, we discussed movement of funds. I went and made a presentation to the county commissioners, I think in late January, early February, where we were directed to take care of internal funding after the budget was approved as we saw fit or as we needed to. I think everybody remembers that. what we need to do, and we did move some funds out of the insurance fund into the pay and allowances. We need to do that at least one more time before the end of the year so that we can take care of all the obligations that we've already voted on and approved. And so I would make a motion that we direct the supervisor to move, do I need a specific number, amount? To move $8,000 out of the insurance fund that won't be needed for this year into pay and allowances.
Okay. Do we have a second? Dexter, second. So I guess my question is 8,000 exactly the amount, or?
Eight.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
As the staff sees the need.
Okay. 8,000 or as the staff sees?
Yeah, that would be the amount that we agreed to
Okay,
and voted on.
all right.
Would just be the 8.
It's just straight, okay, so just straight 8 then, so no need to, okay. So 8,000 straight is what's everybody's agreeing to. Okay, do we have any further clarification, discussion, questions? Nope, all in favor? All right, that carries unanimously. Thanks, Roy. All right, under new business, election supervisor report. Kim, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Watching your general tab. Sorry. Go down here and speak. Speak to you all from here. Okay, so first you have your voter registration update. You'll see that under the General tab. Registered voters per Secretary of State Jarvis as of October the 6th, 2024 is 53,142. And as we normally report to you, that breaks it down from our dashboard, Department of Driver Services, voter transactions, and vital records, mail-in, walk-in, online voter registration, my voter page, felons, potential duplicates, and moved out of county. So 154 voters have transferred out of Spalding County. Our office began mailing out absentee ballots by mail on October the 7th. That was just yesterday. And to date, we have mailed 1,524 absentee ballots by mail and 54 UOCAVA ballots. Any questions on the voter registration report? On the absentee, it is 1,524 that we have mailed out and 54 UOCAVA ballots. Yes. Okay, so if you'll flip to my report, I've already said there yesterday, October 7th was the first, that was the first day allowed by law to begin mailing out absentee ballots. That includes all of our rollovers too, from the presidential preference election and forward. Advanced voting construction update. Our office officially acquired the space next door, formerly known as the UGA Extension Office, on last Friday. The door from our original office has been installed for a couple of weeks now. Construction began dropping power into the advanced early voting area yesterday afternoon. I have spoken with the construction director, and he has assured me that we would be ready for advanced early voting on Tuesday. So we'll be working a little miracle between now and then, but we will make it happen. Precinct 10 relocation update. Signs have been placed at Precinct 10's original location, which was Carver Road Fire Station, and the new location, which is Oak Hill Church, and in between those two locations. And this is what is required by law, the signage. November 5th, 2024 general election update. Just to update you on some things related to the election. Logic and accuracy is completed for the 189 ballot marking devices, 189 printers, and 21 ICP scanners. No ink is to release advanced voting data tonight or tomorrow. And LNA will be completed for the advanced voting poll pads, of course, this week. A huge thank you to our team that worked along with us tirelessly to complete an ambitious goal for the logic and accuracy process. Sample ballots have been prepared, and voters may access their sample ballot by visiting our office or by Georgia My Voter page. Georgia My Voter page, I just want to take a minute for the public to hear as well. You can receive a lot of information by there by simply putting in some of your information. You can receive, if you request an absentee ballot by mail, you can pretty much track the status of it there, whether we have received the application, whether it has been issued, the ballot has been issued, and when it is received by our office. You can also access your sample ballot there. You can access precinct information there. You can access Dropbox information there, and you can also access advanced voting information there as well. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of all the information that you can receive through there. Voters who, I've said that there, early processing of absentee ballots. This has been included the ad that was put into the paper, which we're required by law to advertise about intent to process early processing of absentee ballots, and that ad is included in your general information there. And that's just a little bit of information for you to follow right there. I have completed training for 101 poll workers and have scheduled an additional 8 poll workers for training, and we are expected to train an additional 15, which will put us at the 125 mark. And I just want to point out right here, our poll workers, just a little shout out to 2 of them. Jackie Robertson, who is participating in the Spalding Sheriff Citizen Academy, and Brigadier General Chris Pilon, who just received that promotion and was awarded that acknowledgement on this past Saturday. So we have some awesome poll workers. Advanced voting poll workers total 43 with 24 serving at one time. Just want you to have a knowledge of that. We have scheduled 43 poll workers for advanced voting. That was a huge undertaking of scheduling, and again, a shout out to staff to work with all the different individuals, poll workers. Some of these poll workers have jobs, and they commit to certain days to work with us, and we're very grateful for that. So a total of 43 that are serving, but 24 at one time, and of course we'll pull from others if we see that we need more.
Kim, roughly, super round numbers, like how much have we staffed up for this, as far as poll workers for this election, early voting in this election versus, like, say, last year?
And that depends on your type of election that you're looking at,
Right.
whether it's a municipal SPLOST election to if it's 2022. I couldn't
let's-
give you the exact figure, but I would think even from 2022 that we are up by about 40 poll workers, 30 to 40 poll workers.
That was about my memory, too. I was
Yeah.
just checking it. Okay.
Advanced voting begins on Tuesday. I want everybody to take note. We're always accustomed to advanced voting beginning on a Monday. But due to the holiday that the state observes, which is Columbus Day, it will begin on Tuesday, October the 15th. The hours will be every day that we have advanced voting. It will be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hours will not differ. So October the 15th through the 19th, that's a Tuesday through a Saturday. Then we pick up on October the 21st through October the 26th, same hours, and then October the 28th through November the 1st is the last week. So what you have is a Tuesday through Saturday, a Monday through Saturday, and then a Monday through Friday, basically. Okay? Kiwanis Fair. We participated in the Spalding County Kiwanis Fair, and were able to answer questions for residents of Spalding County. Our booth looked awesome, and it proved to be a wonderful outreach to the community. So we're very glad to be there and be able to hand out some information, especially for this upcoming general election. Now I want to move forward with the discussion of scheduling meetings in case of an emergency due to House Bill 769, and I'm going to let County Attorney Stephanie Wyndham pick it up right here.
My suggestion would be that we schedule a meeting for the 15th. We just need to be sure that we're going to have a quorum present, so I need your preferences as to time for that meeting, and we could start it at any time. We just have to call the meeting to order, then we can recess that meeting. That way, we're not scheduling a meeting every single day that we then have to cancel. We can remain in recess unless and until we need to come back from recess and actually restart that meeting. So instead of scheduling every single day and noticing 14 meetings, we can notice one, recess it, and come back into the meeting as we need to, if we need to.
Did I hear you say the 15th?
The 15th,
So
so
we
the
would
first
start
day
the first
of,
day of early
the
voting?
first day of early voting, just because there could be a need that
Right,
day,
right.
so.
I'm out of town.
You're out of town? Okay. We just need to be sure we have a quorum.
So, I mean, so as far as House Bill 769 requiring notice, and then open meetings, et cetera, requiring notice of us assembling or whatever, the recess basically.
That will be on the agenda, so it will be published. It'll be announced when you open the meeting to begin with. You'll announce the fact that there's no business to transact currently, but you will be in recess unless and until, and note the days that meeting could be,
So we would still be giving some sort of public notice of when the meetings
Yes,
could occur,
it will be
right?
on the
So
notice
it's not like
and-
we're just adjourning and then like we're just gonna come and meet.
because you're
right?
not adjourning, you're recessing.
Right,
So, and it will, and there's a difference.
right.
Yeah, so you will be, and that will be on the notice and the agenda that are published in advance.
So we will have published the possible days by
Yes.
which we will reconvene.
Yes.
Did I use the right word?
Stephanie, I'm available morning or afternoon on that Tuesday, but I prefer morning.
Okay.
And I'm checking calendar. I should be able to do either one.
I can be there also, morning
Okay.
or afternoon.
I've got a conflict, unless we can do Zoom.
As long as we have a quorum physically present, then you could join by Zoom. So either of you could, because you can do it once in a calendar year, and I don't believe either of you have in this calendar year. So, and that first meeting, it's probably not going to be as necessary, especially if we do it that morning, because likely nothing will have happened before 10 o'clock, hopefully. And so it would be more necessary for you to come back, but we would certainly let you know if that occurred. So as long as the three of you could be there for a morning, Kim,
And
So 10.
The
10
three-
10 is what we're,
would be
Jim,
the chairman, James, and Jim O'Brien.
I'm putting it on my calendar right now, too. Okay.
And then for Election Day, we will actually just schedule a meeting, so we can get a best time for y'all for that later.
I'll be here for Election Day, so.
Okay. And so would we be doing the same thing in terms of recessing on Election Day until
Yes.
we certify it or whatever?
Yeah, well,
Or until when? in
I
that
had
case?
thought that we would, and this is a suggestion, but I had thought that we would do that through at least the Friday after the election, if we're in our rights to do that, to do it through that Friday in case something came up about the election. And then we would have the publish for the certification meeting.
so my preference would be to have one for advance voting, and then do another one for Election Day,
Okay.
which we can leave open until certification.
All right, okay.
Am I right that this will be at the office?
Yes.
Okay, so at some point, we would need to reconvene and adjourn, even if we do nothing else, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Got it. Just
Yeah.
thinking through the process. Okay, I don't have any issues with that. Anybody? Okay. All right. I don't think it requires a vote. Kim, schedule the meetings?
Just want to make good notes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion of hand count audit for the November general election. As you all know, as the board, you had voted a while back for the hand counting of all ballots. The majority voted for that. And I'm coming to you with a proposal to hand count one federal election. So I'm just putting that out there to you all for discussion and to direct me as to what you desire to take place, so I know how to plan accordingly.
Kim, could you explain what you mean by one federal election?
Well, there are two federal elections on the ballot, the President of the United States and Congressional District 3.
Okay.
So both of those are federal elections.
And is there a difference numerically? In other words, which one are you recommending?
I'm not.
Oh.
One federal election.
We would pull this out of the hat, right? Whatever we draw, we will pull out of the
What
hat.
you all decide
Okay.
and direct me to do.
So what we had done in
Yeah.
the one or two elections that we've done since we did the full was essentially pull out of a hat for a specific type of race. So that's what we have done a couple times. This is obviously presidential, federal, as well as state and local. So Kim's suggestion is we do one federal. We can decide which federal, we can draw out of a hat, or some other randomized way. Flip a coin since there's two of them, I suppose.
I don't like the idea of having so many races that everybody knows won't be counted.
Okay, we may need to turn the mic up some. I'm like
I
a,
thought it was just me.
yeah, I'm almost eating the
Thank you, because
microphone
I
at this
agree.
point.
I can't hear it either.
Did you hear me?
I'll try to get a little bit closer and project a little better, but, I also don't want to slobber all over the microphone, so.
For Roy's benefit, because he didn't hear me,
I'm
I said
old.
I do not like the idea of all the local races it being known that they will not be counted. I propose that we count one federal and one local.
Are we in discussion?
We are in discussion. Well, yes, we are in discussion.
So technically, I believe, and somebody can correct me, and you will if I'm wrong, it is still our policy to hand count all ballots. Now, if somebody wants to make a motion to amend that and change it to one local, one federal, then you can do that at any time. But we're still under the 100% accuracy.
That is correct. So we had actually voted, I believe it was one you missed, to limit that due to, I believe, runoffs occurring so closely to, the prior election. So yes, that currently, if we don't do anything tonight, then they would be, counting.
So if you don't want to do
counting every race on-
100%, then we
Right.
need to make a motion to change it.
So I believe James was,
That was not a motion, I'm just stating my
James
minimum.
was, yeah.
I'm just stating my minimum.
Okay, so James has a minimum. Roy has a maximum. Gentlemen?
My point is
Yeah,
that that's
well,
what we
and Kim-
said
yeah,
we were
and-
going
and
to do.
Kim- And Kim has a
Yeah,
specific
I mean,
request.
we told the voters of Spalding County that's what we're going to do. And we can change it at any time. And I will probably vote for that. But that's just where we were. Now, where are we going to go now?
Right, so, so we do have.
Dexter's got it.
We do have, I believe, the amendment to the agenda that Jim O'Brien made was to discuss the status report on hand counting, which I presumably is the same topic.
Yes.
So, Dexter, let you talk, but why don't we take any action to that, because we're still in supervisor's comments. But, so we do have where we can address that on the agenda already. Go ahead, Dexter.
I think this is probably better directed at Stephanie.
Yes, sir.
Considering the controversy that we have in the state around the authority of the Georgia Election Board and the lack of authority to promulgate rules, are we as a board setting ourselves up for litigation? Because we're not required from state law to hand count any races. So the question is, do you foresee litigation if we move forward with doing a hand count of any race during a federal election?
Of course, in this particular climate, it would be foolhardy for me to say that that would not be a likely outcome, especially since we have been threatened with litigation in the past. But the threats that we have had in the past, I have not found to be truly credible threats, simply because we are merely auditing counts. And there are boards of elections in counties that have done that and continue to do that on a regular basis for every election. And it just so happens that we are in the spotlight. So we're in the fishbowl and they are not. But that's the purpose of what we're doing is simply auditing. So it's not the same audit that the law requires, that the Secretary of State requires us to do, but it is just a double check, basically. And I have talked to other county attorneys and other folks at the state level, to include at the Secretary of State's office, who did not have any issue with the process that we were following.
I guess one of the issues I have, at some point, what is this litigation going to be costing us? We're already under part of one lawsuit for violating the National Voting Rights Act. It just seems like to me, as you said, we're in a fishbowl and we're inviting litigation at this point.
There's definitely a cost, a monetary cost, and especially based on the fact that in most of these, they're not seeking money damages, and as such, our insurance does not cover those. So it's not like we're trying to meet a deductible to start getting things paid for, because they don't get paid for. But we are doing everything that we can to handle these things in the most professional but also economical way possible, as are all the other counties who are also involved in these multiple lawsuits, because we share that with several counties. About 12 of us seem to be named in the bulk of them, and we're doing joint defense agreements and working together to minimize the cost for the counties.
And my second question would be to the election director. I know after the last time we did the count, you had some concerns about morale, and that was a smaller election. What pitfalls and concerns do you foresee trying to do a federal race? Would it be less? Will it be more? What are you seeing?
Well, that's my proposal for this evening, because we all know that the SEB ruling that has come through to hand count the ballots at the precinct. We all know that we're dealing with a larger volume of everything in this election. And you only have so much staff, and you only have so many poll workers. So that was why I made the proposal that I did, because yes, would there be more to do? Of course there would be. Your poll workers are already going to have a very late evening because of the SEB ruling, unless that is overturned in court before Election Day. I don't know. I'm just saying, I know it's being challenged. So is there concern there? Sure, there's concern. Thus the proposal. Do I think we can do it? I wouldn't make the proposal if I didn't think we could do it. So again, you're the board, and you all need to decide what you want me, or what you want me to direct, and make sure and follow through is done.
Kim, let's clarify just a little bit. What the SEB is asking us to do is make sure that the count is the same.
So it is different.
Just the
So-
ballot
So let
count.
me clarify
Yes.
then. It is, those are two different things. We audit, which we audit by contest. Contest, a lot of people call it a race, but it's a contest. So you have candidates within that contest. So when we audit how many votes each candidate received within a contest, and does it balance to that of what was uploaded? Okay. Election night, what is being counted are ballots, just ballots. That's it. To make sure that you are balancing with that of what your records reflect, which is the ICP scanner. Still, larger volume. We all know polls close at 7 p.m. Do we think we're going to be finished voting at 7 p.m.? No. I would be very, very surprised, because the law allows for everyone in line at 7 p.m. to cast their vote that day. Okay? So you have 50, 100 people in line. It's a later night already. And you're packaging everything up. And then you're going to count ballots also. So what I'm saying is, thus my proposal to you all, to let's think about this, because we rely on these poll workers to come in and help us do this as a staff. Because Election Day, it's not over for us Election Day. We're doing multiple tasks through that week, into the next week, probably the next 2 weeks. So there are other things. We have a mandated audit by an RLA, by the state, mandated by the state, that we have to conduct as well. So, answer your question. We differentiated between the two acts. Can we do it? We can. That's why I'm making the proposal I am tonight.
Okay, let's save the rest of the discussion for the agenda item, which we'll get to in like 2 minutes, because we just have one other really short item, so pause on that. Kim, thank you so much for your report. Thank you so much for all the hard work and
Yes.
you do and all your staff, and
And I want to mention real quick, thank you. I know Jim stepped in this past week to help us with a delivery we needed help with. He just happened to pop in and was there. We appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. And I really, really would like for you all to pre-plan and make yourselves available for Election Day and any needs that we may have from you as board members, okay? All right, thank you.
Kim, if you do have any specific, like things or
Mm-hmm.
precincts, like if you want to help organize and split up precincts or
I
anything
will.
like that,
Okay.
would be totally open to getting a little more direction, so we're all not stopping by the same precincts multiple times, and
Okay.
to make sure that we're.
We will be
we're-
looking at that.
To make sure
We
we're
sure
actually
will.
helping, and
Okay.
not stepping on each other's toes or whatever.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
That concludes my report.
Very good. Okay, next up, consider approval of the September 10th, 2024 regular monthly meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read them? Everybody should have a copy.
Yes.
Good. Do we have a motion to approve the September 10th, 2024? Dexter?
I second.
James Nealon, second. All in favor? 4-0 carries. Okay, next up is what we were just talking about. So, wish I could just teleport that discussion here, but so yeah. Originally, we had voted to audit 100% of the races on 100% of the ballots. We rolled off of that due to Kim's request and staffing and other concerns, but that was temporary. So that would be back in full effect for this next election. I do think that we should be able to make we should be able to find some middle ground here. The new state election board count the number of ballots cast at each precinct. That actually would have caught one of the errors that we found when we did a hand count, which was a voter, actually, one of their ballots was counted twice. Ballot got stuck, got jammed in one of the ICPs, one of the black trash cans that counts votes, right? And, you know, when they cleared it and went to run it back through, the poll worker asked if the voter had cast their vote, and they said no, but they actually had. So that was why, you know, in the race that we audited for, it wasn't right, it was school board? That was why that was off by one. So had the state election board rule been in place, we would have caught that the number of paper ballots there actually did not match the number on that ICP. So I see a reason to do that. It doesn't solve other issues in terms of actually, you know, verifying that the machines are counting the QR codes and that the QR codes match what the words on the piece of paper are, on the ballots are. And, you know, that's where the proposal and the idea for us to do an audit or a cross-check to compare against what the machines, you know, spit out, which is what actually gets counted and what actually gets turned in to the Secretary of State per law. We've went over it pretty much ad nauseum with Stephanie and others in terms of what, you know, what it appears is within our authority to do and in what, you know, would not be within our authority to do. And it seems like we're getting the same answer, you know, in terms of that. Kim saying that she can do it, but she would prefer it be a single federal race. So that's kind of my summary of where I think we are at this point. Dexter, your comments about inviting litigation. I guess for that, I mean, some days it seems like my very existence on this board invites litigation, just by me just being Ben Johnson for some reason. So, you know, if I operated such that I couldn't do anything due to threat of litigation, like, you know, I wouldn't be doing anything. I wouldn't be leaving the house. So I'm just not really seeing that as a reason to do anything or not do anything. You know, I think our oaths that we took and, you know, doing what's right and what we think is right is paramount to me. So, and going back to the whole, you know, Secretary of State, Dominion, they're all asking us to trust but not verify. Matter of fact, they're asking us to trust and you can't verify. I mean, that's what some of this litigation is saying. It's like, how dare you try to verify, you know, that these races are correct? How dare you? And, you know, that's just, it's absolutely ludicrous. So that's my 2 cents. James, you're looking like you want to say
I
something.
just wonder why anybody would not want to verify some part of this. What motive is there not to want to find out if a QR code that we cannot read, have no ability to read whatsoever, is what it actually says it is?
It doesn't seem like a partisan issue to me.
It doesn't seem like it's a big stretch to say, maybe we should check a little bit.
Kim, you can enlighten me. I'm not real clear from what the reading I've done, if the hand counting, whatever the scope is it immediately after election night, or does it fall to the next day or a couple of days?
Are you speaking to the board mandated hand count? Is that what we're talking
or the
about?
state, or the new state election board rule.
Or the new state election board
New sta-
rule?
Right.
Well, the new state election board rule says that evening, unless there are 750 ballots, and then a decision can be made whether to do it the next day or not.
Okay.
However, there are certain I's to dot, T's to cross, and to me, after my review of it, it's just easier. You have your poll workers there, do it then, get it done, because they're not going to want to come back the next day. And this is not like an audit where you can turn around and, you know, pull in other poll workers to count ballots or to audit ballots. It must be the manager, some assistant managers of that precinct to come back. So then here we are all over again, reaching out to 17 different precincts and organizing that. So to me, after reviewing it, it just seems better to do it and do it then and get it done.
Okay.
I think the intent, as some of the discussion was at the state election board, was that it should be done, where the votes were initially cast, but I'm not sure if that made it into the.
But isn't that, again, I'm testing, isn't that one of the requirements of the new law, that the hand count take place in the precinct?
Again, from my reading of the SCB ruling, it states if there are 750 or more ballots, the decision can be made to count those ballots the following day to begin
Okay,
the, or
okay.
back at the.
That's what I was missing.
At the elections office.
Okay.
But there are certain notifications you have to do, and my desire as an elections director is not to be doing this here, that there. We need to be consistent.
Okay.
And we need to be streamlined. So if it must be done, if we're directed for it to be done as the SEB has voted for us to do, then do it that night and get it done and be finished.
Yes, sir.
How would the timing of the hand count be affected if there are one or two or three reasonable inquiries that we have to call a meeting to discuss and come up with how we want to address it? How is that hand count being impacted?
So we're, we're gonna have a meeting, as we discussed earlier. We're gonna have a meeting already, I guess, in session that we will have recessed from.
In my mind, staff could be doing that while the board met.
Right. So unless it was something specifically regarding, like, the count or or whichever race is going to be audited, I don't see that. I don't see how that would be an issue. That always could be an issue. I'm not really a big fan of vague language, even though I've used it some in the past. But reasonable inquiry, for me, it would have to be something like pretty darn serious and pretty egregious, or something really not right, and pretty obvious, right?
And honestly, Mr. Chairman, if there were something that were so egregious that would probably rise to the level of something that we would want to be in front of the judge that's on call for Spalding County in Superior Court to address,
Right.
so.
I guess 2020 was the last time we had to get to keep
Yes.
the polls open, right?
And that was
So that
an
was-
order to keep the polls open for an
So
additional
then
couple of
would-
hours.
Right, so, go ahead.
And I guess I don't know the answer to this, it's just, you talking about being in front of Spalding County judges? Since the judges now select the fifth member of the board, would it be in front of Spalding County, or would it have to go to another jurisdiction? Because it seems like there's a conflict there.
I honestly had not thought of the fact that they actually now select one of our members. That's something that let me address that with Chief Judge Ballard and get his opinion on it. And it may be something that I contact the AG's office about as well. Because you're right, there's a question that's raised since they are one of the selectors of members of this board.
I think it'd probably be a conflict, they have to recuse themselves.
And if they all recused themselves, if all the judges in our circuit recused themselves, then we would need someone immediately available to step in. So they would have to have selected somebody in advance for that. So I'll have that discussion with Chief Judge Ballard.
Okay, good point, Dexter. Roy, do you have
No.
anything further? Okay, so we've got a request from Kim to count one federal contest for the November 5th election. Do we have any motions?
I move that we count one federal and one local contest so that all contests are covered, and that for the federal, one be drawn out of a hat, and in a second drawing, one be drawn out of the hat for the local races.
Okay. Do we have
Assuming Kim still has the hat.
chosen at random?
Chosen at random.
Very good. Okay. Do we have a second? Jim O'Brien, second. Okay. Discussion. We've already said everything there is to say. Okay.
I like the scope because I think it's very respectful of not only the staff, but also the poll workers. It's being considerate of them. And at a later date, we might, look at it, the learnings, and if we have to revise it, we can.
All right. I mean, the whole reason, I mean, my whole reasoning behind doing this, I mean, I keep saying we have to trust but not verify, but, to a lot of people on all sides of the aisle, there's a lot of public trust that's been broken. And, trust is something very, very hard to earn, but easily squandered. And, I mean, the spirit in which I've been pushing to get this done is to show the public that the numbers, that the tabulation of the words on the pieces of paper are in fact matching what the QR codes, that the machines are reading say. And by and large, that has been true so far. Yet, we still do not seem to have the trust of the public on either side of the aisle. And, but I mean, I really don't know anything else to do to try to ensure, transparency and ensure that, a year from now, we can, look ourselves in the mirror and say we've done everything we can within, our interpretation of the law to make sure that we're doing our jobs and that we're getting a valid count. Yes, sir.
I would like to say that personally, I would like to count everything, but with all the other requirements that are placed upon us by various jurisdictions, various laws, various rules, and we do want to, as Jim says, be respectful of our staff, I think this is the least we can do.
Dexter?
10 years ago, we were having this discussion because Section 5 was still in effect. You couldn't have these changes 90 days before the election without federal preclearance.
Which change are you talking about?
The rules that are coming down from
The state election
from
board, the state election board rules. Okay.
We couldn't have that.
So we're not talking about the state election board rules right now, though. Just to be,
I'm talking about across the board.
okay. Okay.
I'm talking about less than 90 days before the election.
People seem to be really confused over the state election board count and the thing that we're doing.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm just wanting to
I
make
didn't
sure.
interrupt you.
I'm just wanting to make sure and clarify, Dexter.
I'm giving my opinion.
Very good. Very good, Counselor.
Before the holder decision, there was a requirement for pre-clearance. We're now in a space where rules are being promulgated right before federal election. Rules that have not been tested by the courts. And now we as a board are weighing in on those rules, fully knowing that it is probably a 95% chance that these rules are gonna be challenged legally. And Spalding County is about to become the poster child for promulgating rules without the legal authority to do so.
So Dexter, I'm sorry. I need to interrupt you and get clarification here because it seems like you're saying that we're promulgating state election board rules that we're being asked to follow when this discussion that we're having is about something that we decided well over 90 days ago.
Well, the board decided that, majority decided for that.
We meaning the board, yes, sir.
But that doesn't mean that I can't object to what the board decided.
I'm not I'm not
But
saying that you
see,
can't do
I'm trying
that.
to
I'm
speak,
just trying
you
to
keep
clarify.
interrupting me, and in the introduction, when we get board comments, we say that we show respect, not direct comments toward the board and not interrupt. But I'm trying to state my position and you keep interrupting me.
Right, we're on the board and we can actually talk to each other.
But we're not
If you
talking
want to sign up for public comment,
we're
you can do
not
this
talking
before.
to each other when I'm being asked to give my opinion and you keep cutting me off.
I'm asking for clarification, Dexter.
Okay, this is the clarification. Spalding County is about to have a national eye on it because we are following these rules coming from the state election board that many people even question the legitimacy of this board. We've already got a Secretary of State. We are being looked at being infiltrated by MAGA. There are internal conflicts within one of the parties regarding the presidential nominee, and we're going along with all these rules. You don't have an issue with creating an environment for litigation. I'm an attorney. I have an issue when the board sits here and we start making priorities and plans knowing that we're going to end up spending money to defend a decision that we don't have to make because none of this is mandatory. None of this is required by law. And so that's my position, and I'm going to vote against it. I'm going to be outvoted, but that's my position, and I'm going to make my position known.
Okay, I appreciate you clarifying, Dexter. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Does anybody have any further comments before we vote? All right, well, we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Carries 3-2, or all opposed? Yep, so 3-2. All right. Next up on the agenda is to consider approval of the purchasing of 175 HP LaserJet cartridges for voting equipment printers for the amount of $25,705.75. Do you need to
So
clarify?
just real quick,
Okay.
so you know, 175 printer cartridges are for the printers that are hooked up to the BMDs, which print the ballot after the voter has marked the ballot. So what we found in some testing, or through elections, I guess you would say, is that the off-brand created some smudging. And so we went back to the HP LaserJet, wanted everything to be full-on HP LaserJet. So if you remember, you voted to raise what I could authorize to be spent, which was the $25,000. And this came over just a little over $25,000. So I'm bringing it before you for approval.
Okay. So the generic brands, we had been buying generic brand toner to,
Not toner,
or-
we had HP LaserJet and, We had-
I'm asking why it was smudging.
oh,
It was the
well,
toner?
the only thing that we could think was that was the cartridge, because that's the only thing that had changed. And once, and through L&A is how we found this, and we saw the printers, because we always do a test print before we even start voting. And then if we took the off-brand out, put the HP LaserJet cartridge in, it seemed to clear it up every time.
Gotcha.
So that's
I
why.
missed the word off-brand.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Dexter?
Motion to approve the director's request.
Second.
All right, Dexter first, Roy second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries 5-0. Board comments up next. Roy, I guess we'll start with you.
Again, I was given a tour of the new space today. It looks really nice. It's going to be very helpful. It ain't perfect, but it's better than what we have now. And having moved that machine up and down from the Sports Hall of Fame to the Dominion storeroom, that was horrible. So I appreciate y'all working diligently to do that. I want to take an opportunity to thank all the staff. I know you guys are all really working hard. I was in there this afternoon, and it was just an ant hive. Everybody going everywhere, getting things done, and just a lot of effort, and I appreciate that. That's all I've got at this time.
Thanks, Roy. Dexter?
Looking forward to a smooth election. Thanking advance the staff and Kim, your leadership in making this election a successful one that goes off without a glitch.
I just want to thank Lorelei for the help that she gave me of moving packages downtown. Without her, I wouldn't be able to get into my car.
Very good. James?
I know we have an extremely professional staff because I go to the office and see it, and I talk to them and I talk to you. So I have every confidence that even though this election is going to be monumental, I think that would be a good word for it, that we will do a professional job and pull it off. And you know that I'll be there to help you if you need it.
I will also be there. So, seriously, as far as, I know that almost every election, we're always going around to every precinct. I'm hitting some, everybody else is hitting some. Would probably make some better sense to maybe have a little bit more structure to it. And,
I will do
I
that.
would, I would be, open to being assigned. As long
I
as
just don't want three of you at the same one at the
Well,
same time.
I mean, that's obviously a concern as well, so.
Just make sure on election day that you come by and see me, and I will reach out to you all if they're in, with assignments that I know are doable. But do come by and see me, make sure that you have your badge before you go out on behalf of the Board of Elections and voter registration, okay?
Very good, thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
And, yes, as everybody else said, thank you, Laura, thank you. Thank y'all, and, thanks to the board. Appreciate everybody. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
James? Dexter, second. All in favor? All right, we stand adjourned 7:02 PM. Thanks, everybody, for coming.